Good morning, everyone. How you doing this fantastic Saturday morning? It's rather frigid here in Nashville, Tennessee, because it snowed here last night. It snowed. It actually snowed. Like, can you see this picture? Guys, this is the backyard this morning. Yep. Snow. I believe from some of the news that I checked this morning, depending on the area of Nashville, they had between 3 to 5 inches this morning. My goodness. And it started really slow as sort of like freezing rain last night, but it snowed all during the evening into this morning. And so we have a little winter wonderland. Not so great for my plans today. In wanting to clean out the garage, and like have the garage door open and we're not going to do that today. Today we have space heaters that we're putting in the garage to warm the room before I can even go out there and do some work. So, you do what you can. You do what you can, right? Good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. I'm going to say hello to all my friends. Sherry, good morning. Look, Sherry, it's snowing down here. Did you send the snow down here? This is like, let's say, I think it's 21 degrees this morning. That's probably warm for you, right? Up there in Fargo, North Dakota. But we've got snow down here, Sherry. Good morning, Savannah. As always, yes, we are always standing with Ukraine. Good morning, Teresa. How are you doing? Donna Hen posted that they got 4 inches at her place. Wow. Depending on the area here in town. So the sun is out. Guys, I have great lighting in here this morning because of the snow and the reflection. It's all putting lots of light in here this morning. We have our awesome Peaky Blinders painting right behind me, smiling down on me, waiting for the episodes to drop here in the U.S. So earlier this week, Michael was here with me. Oh, by the way, if you are new to this broadcast, I have to remember to do this all the time. But if you are new to this podcast, thank you for joining me. My name is Renee Harden, and by trade, I am an editor. I am a writer. I'm a writing coach. I like to help people share their stories and get them out there to people in the world, whatever format they want to have it. Oops. Oh, I have my name showing up there, double. Look at there. So that's what I do. And I love sharing stories. And I do this little segment on Saturdays called From the Editor's Desk, where I talk about stories that are going on in our world. And I help you learn a little bit about how to share your story with people, whether it's in a blog, whether it's posting on social media, and getting a little more savvy about doing that, given all of the constraints that we're dealing with in social media. Or maybe you're interested in actually publishing something. Maybe you have a story that you've written or a story that you're thinking about writing that you want to tell, that you want to get published. So I'm in the middle of 2 book projects right now. I've got a 3rd one lined up that I got to start here in a few weeks. It's good to help people tell their stories. Oh, Teresa, listen, I'm glad to have you here. It's awesome to have you here. Her competition is 11:45 and it's about an hour away. Well, you know what? Best wishes on her competition. Glad that she's doing that, and glad that you are such an involved mom to make sure she gets to all of her extracurricular activities on time and able to compete. That's great. And congratulations to Bailey for doing that. Well, guys, so like I said earlier in the week, Michael was here with me. He drove down with me. I'm here for the week just kind of taking care of some business, and I'm also working on cleaning out, like really cleaning out and purging the garage. I've been slowly moving my things out of my house and here in Tennessee. And so I'm also lining up to get some work done. So I come into town regularly to visit my daughter, check on things, see how things are going. And so Michael was here earlier this week. And so while he was here, I've been enjoying taking him to places in the Nashville area, historical places in the Nashville area, to help him get like a bigger picture of the history behind this part of the country. So we went to this really cool place. We went last time, it's called the Carton Plantation, and then another place called the Carter Home. So this is a picture of what the Carton Plantation house looks like. This is a picture of the Carter house. And so they are part of a historical trust here in the greater Franklin area. I don't know if you could see that, right? And the cool thing about the way that they do their tickets there, they have a combination ticket so that when you buy it, if you're not able to see everything on your first trip here and say you're going to come back, you can use those, you can still use those tickets. They're good for the year. So we've been able to see a couple of historic places, and it's really helping Michael understand the picture of what went on in the Middle Tennessee area during the Civil War and understanding a little bit of history around this area. So I think that that's a great idea of how they do their tickets, because it saves time and it saves money. And we're going to talk about time savers today. I'm going to share with you a couple of things about ways that you can really save some time, especially if you're wanting to publish a book. I save time by having some water handy, just in case for those morning kerfluffles that happen. Because we have cold air, and we have 3 pets in this house instead of 1, my allergies in this area really act up for some reason. So if I cough during the broadcast, my apologies in advance. But we're talking about time savers because, of course, tomorrow is the day that we spring forward into daylight saving time. Now, first of all, I want to get one thing very clear, because this happens all the time. You know, those little things that happen, like a cough, like a chronic cough, that annoy you when you're trying to do something. Well, there's a little thing that happens every time that we go back into this time of year. It's called daylight saving time, not daylight savings time. Let me add a cough on that just to make sure that that resounds with you. It's daylight saving time, not daylight savings time. Hang on just a second, guys. Sorry about that. Thankful for the mute button this morning. Boy, we're having a doozy. Okay, so it's daylight saving time because we're saving time, right? Daylight saving time. Say it with me. Daylight saving time. Don't put an S on any of those words, right? It's not daylight savings times. It's daylight saving time. And so then there's been a lot of conversation about daylight saving time, whether we want to stay on it, whether we want to go. There are people that are railing about not wanting to change their clocks. It's too much of an inconvenience to save the clock, to change their clocks. Here's the problem with that. They tried to do that in the 70s. So let me give you a little history behind daylight saving time and why it came up. First of all, it goes way, 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 way back. It wasn't just somebody in modern times or in recent times that came up with the idea. It goes all the way back to a gentleman we all know and love by the name of Benjamin Franklin, right? And he actually came up with the idea. So in ancient times, civilization adjusted with the time. They watched the sun, they watched the moon, they watched how the light, the hours of available daylight changed. And so they adapted with that. Romans had water clocks that had different scales for different times of the year. Okay. And so time was always accounted for in ancient civilizations, tied more to natural cycles. So you remember that Benjamin Franklin published lots of sayings and lots of aphorisms that helped us understand and live our lives a little more fully. So he had one that said, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? You've heard that, early to bed, early to rise. And so um, he actually proposed an idea because it was conserving candle usage. Now, let's see. As we built the railroads, as we built communication networks, okay, we had to standardize clocks. We started keeping time with clocks in different times in the world. We have time zones, right? So as that happened, because in Europe, they didn't keep precise time schedules before. But they noticed with time changing and with the way their clocks were, they had to standardize the time in order to help with hours. Because here's the thing with changing daylight saving time. If we did not move the clocks forward as the days are getting longer, right? Do you realize that the sun, which goes down with daylight saving time, the sun goes down 8 o'clock, 8:30. We have sunsets at 9:30 to 10 o'clock at night. Our time would be off. They tried in the 70s to stop it. And what happened is in the winter months, what they realized is that the sun did not come up for a couple of hours. So kids were in school, people were at work in the mornings, and it was still dark. And so the reasons why we adjust our time is to make sure that we have our clocks lined up or aligned with the available daylight hours. It's a little inconvenient, yes, but on a standardized system that we have around the world with time zones, now there are certain time zones that don't change because where they are geographically on the map, where the sun rises and sets, doesn't really affect them as much as it does different parts of the world. For example, Nashville is in the easternmost part of the central time zone, meaning that if you drive from here, say to Knoxville or to Chattanooga, you're in the eastern time zone, and that's only, a little over an hour away from here if you're driving east. So we are on the easternmost side of the central time zone. The difference in time between here and in Dallas, even though Dallas is in the central time zone, is different. It's about an hour's difference as far as when the sun sets and rises. If I look at the sunrise and sunset times right now, let's just look that up. I'm going to look it up right here on my Weather Channel app. So here in Nashville today, the sun rose at 6:01 a.m. and the sun is setting at 5:51 p.m. Notice we're almost to 12 full hours of daylight. That's in the central time zone. Now, let's check that out. So we had 6:01 and 5:51, right? Let's check out the sunrise and sunset in Dallas. So this morning, the sun rose in Dallas at 6:41 a.m., and the sun is going to set at 6:32 p.m. So you notice the difference. It's a 45-minute difference right now with where the sunshine is. But Dallas and Nashville are still in the same time zone. The Dallas sun rose at 6:32, right? And yet it rose this morning here at 6:01. So it's helpful to have standardized systems. It helps keep things in place because it helps us save time, right? It helps us allot our day so that we know when the sun is going to rise, when it's going to set, how many hours of daylight we have. When I'm working in the garage and I need extra daylight hours, I love, because my house faces west here, I love that in the evenings and the afternoons, I have direct facing sun into the garage. So I have lots of light. That enables me not to have the lights on in the garage, right? Saving electricity. And so in the winter months, when there's less daylight, we want to be up and moving around and doing things during the daylight hours as much as possible. So that's why we have it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do we want to keep it? It hasn't really bothered me that much. Maybe it's bothered you a little bit and you want to change it. but that's okay. There's a reason why we have standardized systems to keep things in place and help us allot for and plan for our time wisely. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is a little bit of time-saving things that you can do, especially if you're wanting to work with someone like me, who wants to, be your editor and help guide you through the process of publishing your book or telling your story. A lot of people don't understand that there's things involved with the publishing process. And yes, I know there's lots of courses out there online, things that tell you, publish your book in 30 days. Can it be done? Sure. Anything can be done if you try hard enough. However, will it affect the quality of the product that you're putting out, right? You don't want to be in a hurry and in a rush. Anything you do, you want to put out your best work, and that takes time. Unfortunately, in our instant gratification world of social media, we've lost the ability to be patient and take the time in getting things done. As more and more items are becoming connected to the internet, devices change the time automatically, right? And we don't even have to think about it, Teresa. That's true, right? But there are some people who are proponents for getting rid of daylight saving time. And again, the systems would be set up where it just happens. So tomorrow, are you going to really notice a difference? You might notice it when you get ready to go to church. When we used to use analog clocks and we had to turn everything forward, and sometimes people would oversleep and not make it to church on time or not make it to work on time because their clocks. Now our digital devices have the ability to change and our alarms go off at the normal time. It will seem like we lose an hour, but we really don't. We actually adjust for those hours. So you would try to find, as the older you get, the harder it is to adjust. Stephanie, I was mentioning earlier, I don't know if you caught it on the broadcast, but back in the 70s, back in the days of yore, but back in the 70s, they did try to do it. They suspended daylight saving time. They didn't change clocks. And what happened in the winter months, people were sitting in the dark a lot. They were going to work in the dark, and it was dark till about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning because they didn't adjust that 1 hour. So, you could try an experiment. You could literally try an experiment and, use an analog clock and see if you could, and just set it to keep it on standard time and see what the hours would look like at that time. So for example, right now, if we don't turn the clocks forward, as the days get longer and the sun is setting later in the day, it'll make the sunset at 9 instead of 8 or 8:30. It's going to be 9 or 9:30, close to 10 o'clock, and the sun still won't set. And that's what happens in some places in the world, right? Where they imagine, I think it's up in Alaska, where they have months where they have no sun for a while. And then they have periods where the sun is always up and it kind of goes down to the horizon and then it comes right back up again. Daylight. So they have to use blackout shades for their own circadian rhythm to be able to go to sleep and then wake up. So it's been tried before, but not been successful. So do with that what you will, but it has been tried before. So back to talking about time savers for publishing your story. So I want to share a couple of things with you because as I work with authors, I find these same steps and I take them through these steps when we have our initial consultation and I talk through them. But I want to just share a couple of them with you because I think some of these things will be helpful for you if you want to publish your story or have your story considered, or maybe you're thinking about the process, or maybe you have a friend that has thought about it, and these are some helpful tools that you can share with them. So what do I mean by time savers? So the definition, let's talk about the definition of a time saver. So time savers are acts which allow one to accomplish a task more quickly, right? There are steps that are taken to help you become more efficient with your time and be more effective with your time. That's what we want to do. So for example, there's different time saving things that you do around the house, right? With laundry, so that when you are getting ready to do laundry, everything you need is right there. Do the laundry. Housework, same thing. Chores, your job at work. There are things that you can do, little tasks that you can complete that will help move the process along faster. And so I have a couple of those when I meet with clients. Gosh, it gets a little warm then because it's snowing outside. It gets a little cold again. But I work with people, and I come across these. These are the most common ones that I come across with authors. So I'm going to share them with you today to kind of help you sort of formulate in your mind some things that you need to do if you're wanting to publish your story. Okay. So the first thing right off the bat, and this is the number one thing that I get asked about all the time. I will have people come to me and say, I just need you to proofread my manuscript. And they don't quite understand that proofreading has to do with the publication side of publishing your book, meaning the print layout and the format and getting it ready for typeset or print. Okay. So that's not what proofreading is. So the first thing you need to know is you need to know what type of editing your manuscript needs. Does it need a developmental edit? Does it need a copy edit? Does it need a line edit? Does it need proofreading? Okay. There's several different stages of editing, and they accomplish different outcomes. So it's important. So say you have a manuscript ready and you want to get an idea for if the story structure is strong and good enough to start the process of pitching it to a literary agent or a publishing house. That's called a developmental edit. That's when an editor looks at your story, reads through it, and gives you a list of things and areas that need improvement for story structure, for plot pacing, for character development, for character dialogue, things like that. And they're going to tell you what areas are strong, which areas maybe need a little more work. That's a developmental edit. And then the author can go back and sort of look at that and write those things out and make those changes. Okay. Then you have a copy edit. A copy edit looks at, this is where we look at the story, we look at your sentence structure and your grammar and your transitions and make sure they make sense. Okay. That's what a copy edit is. It looks at the text. Now, it's not going to change the overall topic of your story. It's not going to change any. It's going to look at the structure of your sentences and the grammar and the words to make sure they're clear and concise, those kinds of things. Okay. Then we get to line editing, where we're looking at every line by line, making sure those sentences are strong, making sure they're clear. Then you have, once the document is fully edited and cleaned up, then you have what's called proofreading. And proofreading is involved when your text is getting ready to be formatted and laid out by a graphic designer for publication, right? So that it's going to go to either Amazon or Ingram Spark or whoever you're having do your printing. It's ready for print. So if you come to me with a brand new manuscript and tell me that you want to proofread, I know that you haven't taken the steps to edit or look at it. And so proofreading has a different rate than developmental editing and copy editing. Those are all different types of editing, which require different amounts of time, therefore determines a different rate. So know the type of editing that you need. It's very important. If you're going to talk, whether you talk to me or you talk to any other editor, know the type of editing that you need. That's important, okay? The next thing you can do with your manuscript is you can self-edit. You can go through and clean up some things that don't need to be there. So for what I do initially with my clients when I meet with them and they have a manuscript is I will send them my list of 12 common words that I go through and either eliminate or I change in a manuscript. They're usually filler words or fluff words. So go through your manuscript and self-edit. Clean it up as best you can, right? I don't expect you to have the ability to do it like I do it as far as different editing styles, but clean it up and make sure you don't have strange words in there, or especially be careful with idioms and colloquialisms. Use the tools that you have on your computer to spell check and to do some things first. That helps clean up the manuscript for me, and I don't have to charge you for doing all that little stuff. That's something that you can do ahead of time. Clean up the manuscript and make it just the best that it possibly can be. Okay. Here's another thing. Have your manuscript in Word. Now, I know people want to use Google Docs, and I know they may use Scrivener when they write out that's fine, but if you're going to send your work to an editor to be edited, export those files into Word. Word is the industry standard that all editors use. Google Docs tends to not only lose editing and formatting sometimes within the Google Docs app, but it's just not as robust for editing like Word is. And so make sure that your manuscript is in Word. Now, here's another one that's super important. I cannot stress this enough. Have a budget for publishing your book. Have a budget, guys. Yeah, can it be done for free? Yes, if you know InDesign and you can do book formatting and you know how to upload to Amazon and Ingram Spark and have the right kind of files to upload you could do all of it yourself. You can also go on Fiverr or Upwork and find somebody for $10. Again, the quality of your work matters. If you're not willing to put some money behind what you're doing, then I kind of question the value of your product, right? How many of us like dealing with great products, right? I'm an Apple girl. I have my Apple AirPods. I have my phone. I have my mouse. I'm on my MacBook laptop. I am an Apple girl. There's a reason why I'm an Apple girl, because I love their products and do I need a budget? Yes. I've had these AirPods for a while. These are like some of the original generation AirPods. Still going, right? And there's a reason why. So I spent a little more money on those products, but I still have them and I'm still using them because they work well, right? You know this. Think about your cars. Think about clothing that you buy. Think about anything that you buy. You want to try to purchase within your budget. You want to purchase the best quality you can, right, for the price. So you're going to be looking at your budget, right? You have a budget for your household. Have a budget for your book, for your story. It's important because you're going to have to hire people to do certain services for you with getting your book ready. And I don't care if it's me or anyone else, you're going to need a budget, right? You are going to pay for quality. That's exactly it, Stephanie. That's exactly it right there. So the thing is, can you do it? Yes, it can be done. Are you willing to save and have a budget together? And if you want to talk to me and consult with me about what those prices would be and what a standard budget for producing a book would be, I would love to talk to you about that. I want to help. It's not that I'm trying to, say, oh, it's going to cost this, blah, blah. I want you to be prepared on the front end to know what those steps are. So you've got to have a budget. It's like anything else. If I'm going to have some work done on my house, and I am here probably this summer, I'm going to have some work done on my house. So I start doing the research now and start saving now so that when summer gets here, I have a budget to take care of those things, right? And if my timeline is pushed back a little bit, well, that's okay. I want to make sure that I have the budget to get the best work done. So you're absolutely right, Stephanie. You're paying for quality. Now, the fifth thing is do research about marketing your book. I cannot stress this enough. Whether you are signed by a publishing house or whether you are traditionally published or you self-published, you're going to have to do your own marketing. No one is going to market your book for you. You must do your own marketing. So, how do I do that? I tell people, do some research on it. Research what it takes. And then here's another fun thing that kind of goes back with that. Google your name. Google your name and see what comes up. I'm going to share with you because I just did this for myself, And so I want to show you, let's see. Okay. What? Why does it want to, why is it, it's telling me something here. Okay, here we go. All right. I had a weird pop-up come on my screen, guys, so sorry about that. So I'm going to share this screen with you because I put my own name in and I wanted to see what came up. And so here's what shows up when you Google my name. At the top is the website, is my website, right? And then when you scroll down, and I was kind of curious and wanted to know. And so I Googled my own name to see what would come up. And so look, so there's my LinkedIn profile, my Twitter profile, which I don't even really use that much. But I do use it. My Facebook page, right? So both my profile and my Facebook page. So you have my personal profile, and then IMDb. Yes, I was involved with some films here in the Nashville area. So I love that that comes up. My editing services, and the fact that I'm a member of the Nonfiction Authors Association and the Editorial Freelancers Association. So the first page that comes up right away is, but I have a presence online. And so most agents, most publishing houses, people want to know, how are you going to promote your book? So Google your name. Do you have a presence online? Because that is going to tie into how you market your book. And publishers and literary agents want to see that because they want to know, is the product that I'm going to pitch to an agent going to be successful because this author has a presence online that will support the sales of this book? And so that's really important. So these are just some basic things that you can do that are time savers to help you get ready to publish your story. Little things that you can do on the front end that helps you get ready to do the work of getting your book published. And then once we join forces, then I walk you through all those steps and help you get all those pieces put together so that we can get your book published. And that's what's important. So time savers, just like daylight saving time, it may seem inconvenient. It may seem like something that's, I can't adjust. I just can't. It's too hard. And I know it is. I get it. Listen, it takes a while to adjust to the daylight changing its position because, of course, our Earth is changing position. But if we adjust to it, we'll find we have more hours outside to enjoy this summer, right? I don't know about you. I'm ready for spring, and then I woke up to snow this morning. That made me even more ready for spring and more ready to have more daylight hours. I'm sure that as the sun, and I'm looking at it now with the sun shining on the roads and everything, it's going to melt off a little bit, but then it's going to refreeze because it's going to be super cold tonight. And then Nashville comes out of it. Is this the last snap, cold snap for winter before spring? Because spring isn't here yet, guys. Spring is next weekend, the official start to spring. I don't know about you, but I'm going to celebrate because I am ready. I'm ready for warmer weather. I'm ready for shorts. I'm ready for pretty little dresses. I'm ready for sandals and flip-flops. I'm ready for the beach. I'm ready for swimming. I love warm weather. And I love that our hours of daylight are going to be longer. We're going to have more. So that's a fun thing for me. But wherever you are, I hope you're able to adjust and do some of those time-saving things that help you make your time more efficient, more effective, and more fun. Because we like to be out in the sun, right? Or maybe you don't like. Let's see. You also Googled me the other day. You were looking for your site for a friend. Well, thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate that. And put your own name in and see what comes up, guys. It's always helpful to know, right? More hours to leave your curtains open and getting sunlight in your apartment. Yes, right? The beautiful light. You're also ready for spring. This snow is just, I wasn't ready for it. But you know what? I'm adjusting. I'm adapting. Today is going to be a working inside the garage day so that tomorrow, when I can fling that door open and do what I need to do on the outside, it'll be okay. So I'm going to adjust and I'm going to do some time saving things today inside the garage that will help me for tomorrow, which is my last day to work in the garage before I have to leave on Monday. So guys, we can do this. We can do this. We can adjust. We can adjust to the time change because you know what? It's happening tonight. It's happening tonight. So notice the difference between today and tomorrow. See what changes are there. See how long the daylight is. I'm going to look and see what the Weather Channel says for tomorrow's, if it'll tell me tomorrow's sunrise. Oh, tomorrow's sunrise is at 6:59 a.m. here, so it'll be almost 7. But then the sun sets at 6:52 p.m. So we have a full 12 hours of sunlight. Let's see what Dallas is doing tomorrow. When I get home, how the sunlight's going to be. All right, so there's that. Sunday. The sunrise is going to be at 7:39 a.m. and the sunset's going to be at 7:33 p.m. Isn't that interesting? The difference in just the same time zone in our big, beautiful world. Also, more importantly, as I have shared with you before, we are standing with Ukraine. We are standing with the people of Ukraine as the news gets scarier and harder to watch. 2 of Poland's major cities are at the point where they cannot accept any more refugees because they've had almost 2 million people suddenly flood their borders. And it's really tough. But I keep up with my friend Ronnie Rock, who works for Orphan Outreach. She has been updating everyone with the status of the orphanage there in Dnipro. They are having to stay and hunker down because the boys that are there are in the age, they cannot leave the country without an adult. They are about to age out of the orphan program. And of course, they will be old enough to then have to sign up and fight in this war. But they stayed behind. There is a staff and a group of children that are still there trying to hunker down and write out this horrible war. So if you would like to help them out, you can go to orphanoutreach.org. There is a link there to donate where the proceeds of what you're doing is going directly to the orphanage in Dnipro in Ukraine to help those people on the ground. There are other organizations, people that you have learned about. Let's support them. Let's get behind them. We need to let our brothers and sisters there know. And also those that are in Russia who do not agree with what's going on, but yet they are captive to their leader, right? And so we want to do what we can to help. So if you can help, go to orphanoutreach.org, click the link there. There will be updates and information on what's going on with the children there. And you can support their efforts as they try to ride this out. Super important. If you need to contact me, if you would like to have a consultation and say, hey, Renee, I want to sit down and talk with you, just talk through this process of getting my book published. I really want to know what the steps are so that I can start planning now. If you want to do that, please contact me. You can do that right here at reneeharden.com/contact. You can also join our book club. We are reading the book called The Paris Library. It is based on the true events that happened during World War II when Hitler marched into Paris and took over, and the brave heroism of the librarians at the American Library in Paris. So this story is based on those real events and is told from 2 different character perspectives, which is kind of interesting to see the 2 storylines start off and watch where they're going to cross, because that's always interesting. So you can join us for our book club reading. There's still time. You can join us. We are going to be discussing the book and talking about it and sharing what we think about the story. So you can also join the book club there. But you can schedule some time with me to talk about ways that you can take steps and save some time if you want to get your book published. Okay. So feel free to do that. You can sign up. You can join the book club. You can ask me some questions. You can schedule time for coffee. That's the most fun. All right, guys, let's make the best of this day wherever you are in the country, wherever you are in the world. If you're watching live, thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you here in person, just sharing this time together. Make your weekend special. Make it great. Even though it's a snow day or it's cold, wherever you are, utilize the time you have today. Make it special, make it effective, make it efficient, and have fun doing it. All right. And I'll be back here next weekend where we ring in and celebrate the fact that spring is starting. It's officially starting next weekend. And we're going to talk about spring plans. Spring cleaning is going to be also on the topics coming up. And we're going to be talking about ways that you can get ready to have a fantastic summer. I don't know about you, but I'm ready. All right. Have a great one, guys. Share your stories. Share your awesome. Remember, have fun while you're doing it. Keep our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine and in Russia in your prayers. Hopefully we'll see the end of this, because as inflation and things are changing around us, we need to be smart about our money and our time. Let's do so and have a great weekend. All right. I'll see you back here next Saturday where we get to celebrate. Have a great one. I'll see you then.